Hello and welcome to Forrester High School Maths Department's National 5 Maths Support Materials. My name is Mr. McDonald and I'm going to be talking you through your topic today. Today's learning intentions are to be able to solve linear equations and to remember back to before you started National 5 how to deal with variables on both sides of an equation, brackets to expand in an equation, and negative numbers and terms in an equation. So today's video is going to be broken down into three equal parts. Equations with variables on both sides, which is part one. Part two is going to be equations with brackets inside. And then part three is going to be equations involving negative numbers. You can take them at any pace you want. You can pause at any time. And our activity, our assignment on Show My Homework is broken into three different parts. So that you can pause after one part and then complete question one, and then pause after the second part and complete question two, or you can watch this whole video and then finish the assignment after that. Okay, let's get started. Equations with variables on both sides. So here I have a first example. I've got 9x plus 5 equals 4x plus 45. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to group my x terms together and I want to group my number terms together. The way I would do that is I would take away 4x from both sides to get rid of the x's on this side. But because this is an equation that is equal, I have to do that on the other side of the equal sign as well in order to keep my equation balanced. Okay, so I'm taking 4x away from both sides, and I get left with 9x take away 4x is 5x. The numbers I haven't done anything to yet, so I'm going to just write in that plus 5 that's next to my 9x. 4x take away 4x is 0x's, so I'm not going to include that. And plus 45 onto 0x's is just 45. Okay, so I've grouped my x's. I have 5 x's in total, and they're now on the left-hand side of the equation where I want them. I now need to group my numbers. So I'm going to get rid of this plus 5 on the left-hand side by taking away 5 from that. And because these two things are equal, I have to take away 5 from the other side of the equation as well to keep it balanced. So then I'm left with 5x is equal to 40. My last step in this equation is to get what 1x is equal to, so I'm going to divide 5x by 5 to give me what 1x is. But of course, because these two things are equal, I have to divide by 5 on the other side of the equation as well to keep it balanced. So our final answer here is that x is equal to 40 divided by 5, which is 8. And that's our final answer. That's how I would expect you to set out the working for an equation with variables on both sides. Again, you don't need to include these colored parts in the middle. Just the black lines of working is exactly what I would be expecting you to put in. The colored parts are my thought process that I'm showing you each step of the way. If you want to include those though, you can. Here's a second example, slightly different this time. If I start this the same way I did before and take away 8x from both sides, I'm going to get a negative number of x's. Okay, so you can do that if you're confident about having a negative number of x's at this point. But that's a topic for later on in this video. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to rewrite this equation so it is the other way around. So that the 8x plus 29 is on the left-hand side of the equation. And the 2x minus 7 is on the right-hand side of the equation. Because they're equal, it doesn't matter which way they're round. They are the same thing, just disguised in different ways. Okay, and then I can start that same method. I'm going to take away 2x from both sides. That'll group my x's together. I get 6x plus 29 is equal to no x's, 2x, take away 2x is 0 x's, but I'm taking away 7 from no x's, and that gives me negative 7. Okay, then I'm going to work with my numbers, so I don't want a plus 29 on this side. I'm going to take that away, but in order to take away 29 from this side, I have to also take away 29 from this side to keep my equation balanced. So I'm left with 6x on the left-hand side, and minus 7, take away another 29, I'm going to go further into the negative numbers, is minus 36. Last little part of this, to get what 1x is, we need to divide by 6. And not just on one side, on both sides of the equation to keep it balanced. You're going to be bored of hearing on both sides of the equation to keep it balanced by the end of this video. 6 divided into negative 36 is negative 6. Okay, by swapping the sides of my equation round, I've avoided dealing with negative numbers of x, which is a little bit more easy to do. If you're confident with dealing with negative numbers of x, though, it's absolutely fine not to swap that equation round and to work with the negative numbers instead. That's absolutely fine too. Okay, so you've completed the examples for equations with variables on both sides. You can now pause the video and then go on and complete the first question of your assignment if you want, or if you want to continue on and complete the rest of the video before you start your assignment, that's absolutely fine too. If you're going to pause the video now, then pause the video before I move on to the next slide. Okay, so part 2 of this video is equations with bracketed expressions. You know that to remove a bracket, you need to multiply the number in front of the bracket by each of the terms in the bracketed expression. That's a confusing way of saying you're just going to multiply each thing in this bracket by 10. Okay, so 10 times 2x, and then 10 times plus 1. So 10 times 2x is equal to 20x. 10 times plus 1 is equal to plus 10. And that is 90. Now we have a slightly easier equation to deal with because we've expanded the bracket. We're going to then get rid of these 10 units that we don't want on the left-hand side of the equation. So instead of plus 10, I'm going to take away 10, and that will cancel out. And I'm going to take away 10 on the other side of the equation as well to keep it balanced. So 20x is equal to 90 take away 10, which is 80. Then what I need to do in order to get what 1x is, I'm going to divide by 20 and divide by 20 on the right hand side as well to keep it balanced. And I get that x is equal to 4. 4 20s and 80. Again, remember, you don't need to show the minus 10 and minus 10 in blue, and you don't need to show the divide by 20 and divide by 20 in green. All you need to show is that black working out line by line until you get to your x is equal to a value stage. Here's a second example which is a little bit more tricky. So again, we're going to multiply these brackets by doing 9 times x and 9 times minus 2. We're working with negative numbers a wee bit there. Hopefully we're okay with that. And then 3 times 2x and 3 times plus 1. So let's write that out. 9 times x is 9x. 9 times minus 2, well, we can keep the minus in the middle. 9 times 2 is 18. That's equal to 3 times 2x, which is 6x. And 3 times plus 1, which is plus 3. Now we need to deal with our x's, our numbers, and grouping them together, and then we'll solve our equation. So I don't want the 6x on the right hand side of this equation. I'm going to take that away. but in doing so I have to keep my equation balanced, so I'm going to take 6x away from the 9x on this side as well. Remember, you can't take x's away from numbers, you can only take x's away from other x's. So in this case, 9x take away 6x is 3x, minus 18 stays because we haven't done anything with the numbers yet, we've just dealt with x terms. 6x take away 6x gives me 0, but I have to then plus on 3 to that, which is 3. Okay, now, minus 18 on the left-hand side here, 3x minus 18, I don't want that minus 18. I'm going to plus 18 on to cancel it out. Okay, but to keep this equation balanced, I have to plus 18 on to my 3 on the right-hand side as well. So I'm left with 3x. The minus 18 has been cancelled out by the plus 18, and that's equal to 3 plus 18, which is 21. Final step here, if I've got 3x's and I want 1x, I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides of the equation. Again, on both sides to keep it balanced, we always have to do things on both sides of the equal sign, and we get x is equal to 7 as a final answer. Okay, so you've now completed the section called Equations with Bracketed Expressions. Pause here if you want to complete question 2 of your assignment. If not, then carry on watching this video, but I'm going to give a brief pause. Pause here if you want to complete question 2 before you move on with this video. So part 3 of this video is equations with negative terms. You can see on the right that I've got a few diagrams just to help you out if you've forgotten any of your negative number facts. And on the left hand side, here's our first example. Just like before, I want to get rid of any number terms that are on the left hand side, so that plus 3 needs to go, and the way I'm going to get rid of it is by taking away 3 on both sides. Nothing has changed so far, and I'm going to take away 3 on the right hand side to keep the equation balanced. I'm left with minus 5x is equal to minus 25. If you're taking away 3 from an already negative number, it goes further into the negatives. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by negative 5 to get rid of that negative 5 in front of x that is multiplying. Remember, always undo a multiply with a divide, always undo a divide with a multiply. Okay, so I'm dividing by negative 5 on both sides. At this point, I have to divide a negative number into another negative number. So if I look over here on the right hand side, I can see negative number divided by negative number is a positive solution. So our solution to minus 5 divided by 5 is going to be positive 1x, or just x. And then our solution to minus 25 divided by minus 5 is going to be positive as well. 25 divided by 5 is positive 5. And that's our solution. Taking that a bit further, here's a variables on both sides question. I'm going to work it out in the opposite way from how I did before. So I'm not going to swap the sides. I'm just going to take 5x away from both sides. This will lead to me having to work with a negative number, but that's okay. So 3x take away 5x is minus 2x. My plus 8 stays where it is just now. 5x minus 5x gives me no x's, and then I take away 12, which gives me an answer of negative 12. Getting rid of the units, I'm going to take away 8 to get rid of the plus 8. And on the other side, to keep the equation balanced, I'll take away 8 too. That gives me minus 2x is equal to minus 20. Again, I'm working in that realm where I've got a negative number divided into another negative number. It's going to give me a positive answer. Therefore, when I divide by -2 on both sides, I'll finish up with -2 divided by -2 is positive 1x. And -20 divided by -2 is positive 10, because 2 goes into 20 10 times. Final example. This is about as difficult as I could think up, for now at least. So we're going to be expanding some brackets with negative numbers. So I'm going to do -4 times by 3x and -4 times by -8. So just to go over to the left-hand side here, I'm multiplying a negative number by a positive number to start with. So negative times positive is a negative solution. And then after that, in blue, I'm multiplying a negative number by a negative number, and that will give me a positive solution. Just to show you how to use those tables on the left-hand side there, or right-hand side rather. So to start this equation off, -4 times 3x is -12x. I get a minus answer for that one, and then I just do 4 times 3 as normal. And then -4 times -8 is going to be positive 32. That equals -4 still. Next step is to sort out my units. I don't want plus 32 added onto my x's. Oops. So I'm going to take away 32 from both sides. So -12 is left in terms of x's. My plus 32 is cancelled out by the -32. -4, take away another 32, is going to send me further into the negative numbers. So that's -36. Last little step, divide by -12, because I want 1x, I don't want -12x's. Got to do that on both sides of the equation to keep it balanced, as always. My final answer, I'm not going to go over to the right hand side. I know that a negative number divided into another negative number is positive. So -12 divided by -12 is 1x, and -36, -36 divided by -12 is positive 3. And that's my final answer. You've now completed equations with negative terms. That's our last part of this video. You can pause now and complete question 3, but I would actually just advise you to hold on one more second, because I want to say just before you finish this video that remember, you can ask any questions you want through Show My Homework or through Teams to me. Don't forget, you can start late, start over, be unsure, try and fail, and still succeed. Stick with this until you get it completed. And your responses, your final responses, should be added to your jotter in Teams. Well done for making it through this video, and I look forward to your responses.